We welcome you back to the top tier action. 19 laps elapsed. We've rejoined the action with a fierce battle between Loveness, Tindo, Seppo Temba. Grimjaw, as you can see, has eked out one of the biggest advantages here that we can see. We're going to hop on board, and as you can see, there's a huge time penalty shootout as the 86er is on the attack here versus Tindo. Oh, he stuck the inside. They bang wheels through the hairpin of turn 10. Tindo is forced almost into the wall. The 86er is side by side with the Alpine ahead, but will Tindo have enough as far as straight line speed is concerned? It looks like that is the case, but despite that, the Tindo is still flashing. The 86er goes on the inside just before the final chicane. Will they bang wheels again? Yes, they do. Into the wall of champions goes. Oh no! Tindo! His car has been totaled. There's huge contact between himself and the 86er. He's lost his wing as Tindo. And he's lost momentum also to Seppo Temba as well as to Loveness. So Tindo will not be happy with that at all. I beg your pardon, Seppo Temba and Loveness had just come into the pits. So that is why it looked like Tindo got that advantage. He's going to have to go all the way around now. And as we resume this race, it is on a absolutely dramatic note. But despite that, he will now have his work cut out for him. Let's take a look at the tire situation. Grimjaw has just come out of the pits. And it's a fresh set of mediums for him to take him on the final 15 laps of this race. 8.8 seconds is the new gap. But despite that, Smirch Django also on a similar compound of tires here. But that gap now 9 seconds and possibly building. Time penalty shootout all over the track. On board we go. Three-way fight. Seppo Temba, Zotown, Man Ray ahead. What can these three do? Behind Seppo Temba is Loveness, by a couple of seconds. He opens up that rear wing, he tucks into the slipstream, and darts into the inside line to Seppo Temba. That is too much pace for Zotal to handle. How far will he fight it? The answer is not that much. Man Ray dives into the pits, joining the likes of Tindo, and it looks like the 86er is also there. If you had just joined us, well, we apologize for the break-in transmission, but if you rewind to the very start of this new stream, the part 2 of this race, you will see that huge moment of contact between the 86er and Tindo. So yeah, if you just rewind to the start of this stream, you will see exactly what we're speaking about there. Yeah, we did miss some action. Django having pitted very, very recently during the break-in transmission. He's on a fresh set of mediums. Grimjaw has just come out of the pits. That gap, by the time we restarted the stream, was, well, a lot more than the 9.3 seconds. Sun Hashira, the latest driver to rack up a 3-second time penalty. And in this unforgiving circuit, as you can see, Grimjaw, first of all, comes across the line with the fastest time of the race, 1 minute 12.643. Seppo Temba has 3 seconds. Sun Hashira has 6. Ebo Crocodile, 3 seconds. Tapiso, 6 seconds. Tabo T92 also has 6 seconds worth of time penalty. Stage figure of speech, and the 86er among those also penalized. Tindo at the back of the pack has 9 seconds worth of time penalties. Meanwhile, it's another fight potentially on the cards here. It is Loveness versus Zota. It is mediums versus hards. Zotal's hard tires are slightly fresher. Let's see what Loveness can do here. He's got about half a second of a gap to possibly overcome. The 86er racks up a 3-second time penalty. I will not make the mistake of going to that race director's screen again to see who's on the brink. 22 laps elapsed in Canada here. Loveness on the hunt versus the Ferrari ahead. Already battling time penalties, trying to keep it inch perfect and trying to keep it on track without falling foul of those track limits. Loveness 0.6 of a second to the Ferrari, which issues a plume of tire smoke there through the hairpin of turn number 10. Will Loveness go for it? The answer is a resounding yes, and it's similar to what we saw other drivers do earlier on. Loveness overtakes Zotal, now up to P5. There's still a lot of racing to go. Towards the end of this race, the tire advantage will come back to Zotal. who thought about going for it before turn number 1, but he's content to stay tucked into the slipstream of Loveness as things currently stand. Man Ray has just overtaken Tabo T92 in the run towards the final chicane. There he goes now, zooming past the McLaren, and in that P11 spot. He's done very well, has Man Ray, not to have racked up that 3-second time penalty warning, but sadly for him, he's in P11. He's outside the points. Needs to push heavily on those brand spanking new medium tires. Ahead of him by a factor of almost 2 seconds is Sid's figure of speech. So Man Ray knows what he has to do is stay within 3 seconds and keep his race absolutely clean. If he's got the pace, well, he just needs to make sure that he gets the cleanest of overtakes. Behind them by 1.2 seconds is Mandla, who sadly, despite his brilliant start to this race, has fallen down to P13 outside of the points. 24 laps gone. We will have a total of 35 as we get this beautiful sweeping overhead shot. Looking at the battle, Mandla trying to catch up to the back of Tabo T92. Zotal versus Loveness. The Ferrari was overtaken not so long ago. This is his fight back. He goes out of the slipstream in the run towards turn 1. But perhaps at this particular point of time, Zotal is just happy to charge up that battery and put Loveness under all the pressure, force the AlphaTauri driver to use up too much of his battery power, and as he does so, he forces the AlphaTauri driver into another mistake. It's another 3-second time penalty, so it's advantage Zotal. He knows here he needs not take unnecessary risks with so much racing still to go. And come the end of this race, Zotal's lack of time penalties will certainly come into his hands. If we get another safety car, even better as far as Zotal is concerned. If the pack is to be bunched up once again without a time penalty that Zotal would have accrued. Meanwhile, the 86er versus the Piso, another of the fairly close battles that we're seeing. This time it's the fight for P8. Debo Crocodile not too far ahead, about 1.3 seconds ahead of the Ferrari, as you can see. There he goes. Zooming past both Tsepiso and the 86er, Gal Latang. P9 still within the points. Zotal has just overtaken Loveness. No, they were almost fighting each other there as they've managed to keep it fairly close together. Back we go with them. They're almost side by side. It's wheel-to-wheel stuff here before the chicane. Oh, it's huge contact. Zotal goes careening off the track. But thankfully for him, he does not take too much damage here. It looks like despite being in front of the Ferrari, Loveness has come off second best there as he tried to recover from that moment of contact. So Zotal now in P4. Thankfully for him, he didn't send it straight into the wall. So a slight moment of drama here in the 25th lap. Meanwhile, Sun Hashira, Tindo, Tabo T92, all within DRS of one another. This is the vantage point. Nope. This rather is the vantage point from Sun Hashira. I beg your pardon. It's Sun Hashira, Tindo, and Mandla. This is Hashira on the inside of Tindo before they come into the chicane. Not close enough to go for it versus Mandla. And Sun Hashira leaving nothing to chance, taking all of the risks, trying to claw his way up somehow towards the point places. Django earns a 3-second time penalty, and they're so tight. You're through the hairpin, and Sun Hashira almost had the jump on the half on the exit of turn 10, but Mandla had just enough pace to make sure that he hung on there. But Sun Hashira comes out of the slipstream. Oh, and they almost made contact with Tindo and Mandla behind. Sun Hashira has got that move done, now up to P11, trying to bridge that 4-second gap between himself and Man Ray. But these tires, will they be in decent nick come the end of the race? He's gone aggressive as Sun Hashira, just wasting no time trying to claw his way up into the points places. P11. All he's got to do now is catch up to Man Ray, who, remember, has not earned or racked up a 3-second time penalty at this point. This is the vantage point from Tindo's perspective. Mandla behind, Sun Hashira ahead. And through turns 6 and 7 they go. And still, slight advantage. And Mandla trying as hard as he can to stay in touch, but Sun Hashira has really blown these two away. Mandla will look to have his say versus Tindo in this battle to be among the podium places. Debo Crocodile and the 86er are having a fight in another part of the track. And Tindo, who is flashing, will be relieved to hear that Mandla is also flashing behind. Tapiso, the latest driver to come into the pits on those aging medium compound tires. Tapiso fits a brand spanking set of mediums on his own. 27 laps gone. Tapiso will not be happy with his current prospects. He's out of the points. And he desperately needs a heck of a recovery. Mandla earns another time penalty. And there's so many of those. It's 3. It's his first one, Mandla. So he will know that even though he's been passed, it's still advantage Mandla. Tindo, 9 seconds worth of time penalty. This particular point in the race, 6 seconds each for Tapiso and Tabo T92 down at the bottom. 8 seconds for Loveness, so you could assume there's a 5-second time penalty among those places. Over there, Sige, figure of speech in that P8 spot, is also got that 3-second time penalty alongside Debo Crocodile, who's managed to fight his way up to P7. Sun Hashira has just caught and overtaken Man Ray. He's now firmly within the points, knowing, of course, that he has to... Oh, no, that's 9 seconds now worth of time penalties that Sun Hashira has racked up. Man, oh, man. Shake says the bottom 5 must drop down to Tier 2. And we must promote the leading Tier 2 drivers to the top tier. So says Shakes in the comment section. We know what Shakes is capable of. We will see what they will or can do before all is said and done here. Of course, Shakes and Seaplate speaking about that remarkable 12 second gap now between race leading Grimjaw and the chasing Smirch Django. 29 laps gone. What will it be come the end of this race? It's been a race firmly in control, in command, that Grimjaw has driven over here. And as you can see, he's on the verge of lapping the back marking Tabo T92. He's already surpassed and lapped Tindo. And Tabo T92 is next up. On the verge of being lapped, beautifully controlled race by Grimjaw. Django, 12.5 seconds behind the race leader. The gap between P2 and 3 is significant, as you can see. As far as Tepo Temba is the gap to the leader, 26.6. And it's another 3-second time penalty that the Tepo Temba has racked up. So not looking very, very good here. Seaflake says Grimjaw was going to feel the heat yesterday if he was in Tier 2. That race with its safety cars and wet conditions, unforgiving conditions that we saw in Tier 2 last night. Django, rather Tepotemba, 26.5 seconds behind the race leader. Zotao, no time penalties. It's been a clean, controlled, calm race. He's about almost 40 seconds behind the race leader despite his clean race. Loveness is behind with a whole slew of time penalties that he has to contend with. Just 5 laps of racing still to go here, folks. Those time penalties will tell before all is said and done. Billy Hendricks says, you know what, being lapped here in the top tier is some pretty wild stuff. Can't believe it. What is going on in the top tier? Asks Billy Hendricks in the comment section. This is Loveness, 2.8 seconds behind Zotao. We've seen Loveness being involved in some pretty entertaining battles. Now holding on to that 5th place. The 86er on those aging mediums behind will see no need to pit with just 4 laps of racing yet to go. There's a plume of smoke thrown up by the Ferrari ahead of Loveness. That is, of course, Zotao's Ferrari. 86er, P6, Debo Crocodile, P7, Sun Hashira. is going to look to catch up there. Currently P8. Sunhashra needs the points, remember. Missed a lot of races and DNF'd out of one of the few that he took part in. And now wheel to wheel, side by side, and overtaken. Now has claimed that P7 spot. Oh, but it's another time penalty. Sunhashra collecting the time penalties. Just racking them all up. Not comfortable with the track limits. And got his work cut out here to really build a hell of a gap in the space of 3 laps. Those soft tires will not be very kind to him come the final lap. Man Ray, who had driven the cleanest of races, trying to keep it calm and steady, could not avoid that 3-second penalty. Finally, Man Ray, so late in the game, racks with a time penalty under attack from their teammate, who overtakes without much contestation. Now down to P11, Mandla overtakes, and we've got a virtual safety car here, folks. I do wonder who that is for. It's a Piso down to P12. It is for this man, Tabo T92, lost their wing. It's out on track. The marshals will have to clear that, and with so little racing to go, I know some of the chasing pack would have loved, well, Zotal in particular would have loved for a full safety car, knowing that he has driven a clean race. He's the last standing driver without a time penalty. Sunhashra, at the end of the VSC, opted to come in, change wings. But, well, it's going to be close but no cigar. It's a brand new set of softs for him, but he's going to have his work cut out for him, fighting all the way down from P12. And it's going to be a huge gap by the time he exits. Tabo T92 has crashed out. Oh no, he's retired. I think it's in the pits. Yeah, it's a retirement in the pits. Tabo T92 having already been lapped says, well, that is my race done and dusted. I am not having such a great time out here, and I will just retire this car. That is Grimjaw, who has just lapped Sunhashra. In firm control of this race, almost 16 seconds ahead of the chasing field. Well, there it is, 16 seconds with 2 laps of racing to go. Only Grimjaw and Zotal, the drivers that have not racked up time penalties here. Otherwise, it is an unforgiving circuit. Time penalty shootout all over the track. Man Ray has just been overtaken by Tapiso. He finds himself sandwiched between the 2 Haas drivers. So Man Ray drove a hell of a race, kept it clean, but pace-wise, at the end here, also with the tire offset, must remember, he's just, well, defenseless. So 12-lap old mediums versus the fresher mediums that Tapiso is running. And Mandla managed to overtake their teammate. Oh no! Tindo is out! Late on in the race. It looks like also retiring in the pits, so that won't have any on-track implications. Tindo also throwing in the towel, waving the white flag here, knowing that it is pretty much futile to fight. Someone who does not think it is futile at all is Tapiso, who is going to give Mandla hell here. Oh, that push for P9. Mandla's aging hard compound tires are under complete attack here. This is the penultimate lap, and race leading Grimjaw will soon start the final lap. Tapiso on the outside of Mandla gets that overtake done without incident, and the 2 Hasses at the back of this field will now scrap it out for the final points position before all is said and done. Man Ray is within 8 or 9/10 of a second here, and he's going to have to hang on for dear life. Sunhashra crashes out, or is it a retirement in the pits? Yeah, it looks like it's in the pits there, so 3 drivers in quick succession, Tabo T92, Tindo, and Sunhashra opting to retire in the pits. Their race is pretty much done and dusted here. We're watching Mandla and Man Ray fights for the final few scraps here. But Man Ray has fallen even further behind their teammates. What's the penalty difference between the two of them? Well, it's about 3 seconds that the Haas drivers have. Tapiso has a 6-second time penalty. So despite working hard and overtaking the two Haas drivers, come the end of this race, it may not be enough for Tapiso. Cinch figure of speech has just overtaken Debo Crocodile. That is the Aston Martin of Debo Crocodile, and that is for P7. He will also, of course, know that he does not have enough in the bag to get that done. Meanwhile, towards the end of the line, it is Grimjaw who comes across. There was so much action in the midfield. Grimjaw has crossed the line to win in Canada. On debut in the top tier, it was as controlled as you like. Grimjaw, the class of the field, by 20 seconds, winning from the established Smirt Django, who comes home 20.6 seconds behind the race winner. Tsepo Temba will claim that P3 spot now with that time penalty, which thankfully for him will not be enough to see him tumble down. Zotal, coming now towards the line, drove a flawless race, but despite that could not come into the podium places. Loveness, those time penalties costing him, but he hangs on to P5. The 86er, Gallo Tsang, started from the back of the pack, but will finish in 6th place. Cinch figure of speech crosses the line for P7, but it'll turn into 8th courtesy of time penalties. Tapiso has a huge deficit to the chasing Haas pair behind him. And did Man Ray make it? I want to see. Tapiso made it. Tapiso hung on for P10 at the death. So Man Ray has been shunned of a points finish. Tsepo Temba voted by the game as the driver of the day, having made up all those positions throughout. He's back in the podium, and there is Grimjaw waving the Qatari flag high, taking the top step on this podium. Tsepo Temba back up among the front runners at this midpoint of the season. So we have 6 more races still to go, and there's a lot that can still happen between now and the end of this top tier season. The first person to join us in this post-race commentary is none other than Tsepo Temba, P3, having started 14th. That's a hell of a drive. Congratulations. Take us through that. And you managed to build a huge gap after the safety car. We did lose transmission, but when we came back into the race, you managed to, hang on to that P3 spot. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ty. Man, firstly, I never thought I'd be back here ever again. Yeah, it was a tough race, man. I think from quali, I wasn't able to qualify because I had an incident. So I really didn't imagine myself coming all the way back to get podium. There's a point when it was a matter of just getting as many points as possible. And yeah, I think there came a point when I'm like, okay, I might actually be on for a podium here, and I'm so glad it happened.
Oh, man. And after the safety car, could you just take us through how exactly you were able to hang on to that advantage and build that gap?
I think after the safety car, what's his name? Debo Croc. Debo Croc didn't have a good he didn't have a good restart. Not a good exit. He didn't have a good restart, and I managed to pass him going into turn one, and then going into the hairpin, Mandla spun around, and yeah, I was able. Then from then on, it was just me in clean air, and I was able to open up a good gap.
Man, oh man, oh man. We've been speaking a lot about just the quality of this season as far as pace is concerned. And you've just said how hard it is. You didn't expect that to be among the podium places, but we know what kind of pace you also have had historically. It's a podium place today. What are your targets for the rest of this season and your own expectations also into the upcoming race?
Man, tier one is a different beast now, so anything between 10th and 6th, I'll be very, very happy with.
Ah, man. And today has been really, really great to those prospects. Congratulations. Django is also joining us here. He came across the line in P2. Congratulations, sir. Take us through number one quali. That was looking very, very tight between you and Grimjaw there. And at the end, a huge gap. Grimjaw on debut. Showing their pace. How was that race? But congratulations, P2, sir.
Good evening, Ty. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, wait. I don't know what happened, to be quite honest. Because quite I picked my setup nicely, going minutes, remaining, and I go around and I'm like, this is very slow, because I was doing very very good times in practice, and then I come back to the pits and I come back and check my setup to see that they gave me a default setup. So I was like, oh, there's nothing that I can do now because Park Fame is on. And I was just praying that, nobody breaks my wing and I have to fight anyone else. Congratulations to Grip. I knew that he was very fast, so I wasn't fighting. Even, in the first stint, I probably that I could keep it under 2 seconds. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah, we'll just take it, man. We'll just take it.
P2, that consolidates your position as the prime candidate, hunting down Don Ravico. Grimjaw, of course, will have their say among those places before the season is done. Another question, Django. So we lost the transmission to the stream pretty much at the end of the safety car. I think we probably lost the transmission. Probably it might have been something like 4 laps in total. Could you just take us through how your race unfolded just after the safety car ended, the main safety car? Yeah.
Yeah, so after the safety car, I think I actually got a good start because I was 1 second into 10-1, and because he was on fresh mediums, I didn't even use my ERS and he just caught up. And then I made mistake, I think, 4, and then he just passed by. And then I wasn't fighting it because, like I said, I knew I had a default setup. If anything, I'm gonna spin, and I had a few moments, and I even actually, got penalty. So to me, this is a very good race considering that, I didn't have a proper setup. But like I said, congratulations to Grimjaw. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, definitely will be fun to see you guys doing your thing and Tepo Temba as well. But the race winner taking the top step of the podium on debut, Grimjaw, aka Sensei, according to Don Ravico. Congratulations. How does that feel? Take us through that race and that sensational qualifying. And so how much time coming into this race did you manage to put in, both for your quali and also the race pace? Oh, right. And you knew over here, of course, to the top tier, this 25 or 26 points goes a long way as far as putting you up among the standings. I think coming into this race, Loveness had about 24 points. He was seventh. Of course, Loveness collected a couple of points here today, so he'll be slightly higher. So you might find yourself definitely within the top 10. What are your targets for this season Are you hunting down that P2 spot that currently that Django has? Do you think you can bridge that gap? Django is quick. And of the upcoming tracks, is there one where you feel really, really comfortable to be fighting for a race win, regardless of who is in the lobby? I will let you know in a second. After Canada, we have. Yeah. Well, you today were sensationally entertaining and well in firm control and command of this race. Django, final question: had you had your desired setup, what kind of times were you putting in practice? What kind of time? What time was your target as far as that quality pace was going to be for today?
I think what did I do at 10:05
Yes, it
in
was a
quali?
10.544 somewhere there.
Okay, yeah, because the practice I was doing 9:07, so it would have been nice. I would have loved to see, what was happening. So yeah, but I guess we'll get to Mexico and we'll fix the mistakes. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, gentlemen, Tepo Temba, Smith Django, Grimjaw, thank you for putting on a sensational race, proving the class of the field here in Canada. We will see you next time out in Mexico. And thank you, everyone, for joining us and taking part in the comment section as well. Please tune in for Tier 3 on Tuesday at 8 p.m. next week. Tier 2 Wednesday, 8 p.m. right here on our YouTube channel, and the top tier on Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and good night.